Welcome to episode number 324, where I'm speaking with my client Claire from Scotland, and she takes us through her journey with Ayurveda. We've been working together the past year. She's gone through 3 cleanses so far, about to join the cleanse in February now, and she shares all about her Ayurvedic journey. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. This episode is sponsored by Kerala Ayurveda. If you're passionate about holistic health, Kerala Ayurveda Academy welcomes you to upgrade your lifestyle, align with nature, and inspire others to do the same. Courses are available for beginners as well as advanced learners and professionals, both online and in person, in the beautiful Bay Area, California. You can also learn and heal with the ancient traditions during the All Levels India Immersion trip this summer, 2024. India Immersion early bird registrants receive $500 off through this February 8th. To learn more, visit keralaayurveda.us/courses. And for $100 off tuition on a beginner long-term Ayurvedic training program or 10% off a short program, use the code ELEMENTS when you apply or register. You'll find the link and details in the show notes. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today, I'm very happy to welcome Claire to the podcast. Claire has been a client of mine and she's very kindly come on today to share her journey with Ayurveda. Claire, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Colette. Thanks for having me on.
Claire, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. And, these personal Ayurvedic journeys are so interesting. And it's just like real life Ayurveda. So I love chit-chatting with clients and talking about their story. So let's start, Claire, with telling the listeners a little bit about yourself, where you're from and so on.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Dundee, which is a small city in Scotland, UK. And I'm a full-time university student. I'm studying nutrition and wellbeing degree at university, and I also study an Ayurveda diploma in the evenings. I live with my giant shepherd dog, Palika, and I know it sounds a bit cliched, but yeah, I just love everything health, wellbeing, and fitness, which kind of brought me on my journey in Ayurveda, which I know we'll get on to. So that's me. I like foraging. I love everything to do with nature. I love getting into nature. I really love cooking, and really fell in love again with cooking through my cleanses and my Ayurveda journey. And that's me.
Beautiful. And you live in beautiful parts of the world, up in Scotland, and you have lovely nature. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
beautiful nature.
So spoiled.
And I can imagine the foraging there must be amazing.
Yeah, it's great actually. Yeah, just there's so much flora and fauna, anywhere we go, even in the cities it's great. But we don't need to venture too far at all out of the city,
right,
to get into the countryside, to get into deeply into nature. And we've got the Highlands, so
stunning.
Yeah, it's great. Spoiled.
Yes, that wild countryside. And so you've had this interest, as you said, in health and wellness. You're studying nutrition. So you've had this interest for a long time, always had an interest in being out in nature and so on. And where did you come across Ayurveda then on that journey?
So I was around about 2020, I met Ayurveda. I like to look at it that way because I think you connect with it when you're ready, or it connects with you when you're ready.
100%.
I just, as soon as I discovered that, I just felt this deep connection to it immediately. When you just click with something, and it's almost like it resonates really deeply with you, and you feel like you almost feel like you're meeting it again, and everything just makes so much sense. So I did know that I wanted to take it further, but I didn't know how or what or when or why. I was at a real crossroads in my life, actually. I was just back from a year traveling over the world, and I'd spent all my savings. I knew I wasn't returning to my previous professional career in HR. So I was kind of just like figuring my life out, mid-30s. So I had met Ayurveda. I knew I wanted to do something with it and take it further, but I just didn't know how or what or when or why or where. So I decided to just start learning about it. So follow Ayurveda people on social media, join Ayurveda groups, start listening to the podcasts, yours of which is one I started listening to, and yeah, I've listened to from the beginning. And in terms of local connections, there's not much going on at all, I must admit, in the way of Ayurveda in Scotland. There is, it's slowly starting to pick up, but we're along, we're quite a bit behind America in the East. So there's nothing much going on. Like, I could probably, honestly, there's nothing in Dundee at all whatsoever. There's a massive gap there. In Scotland, I can probably count on one hand the number of professional practitioners, and back then in 2020 it was probably even less. So there's not much going on at all, which there's pros and cons to, of course, but yeah, like online there's just, there's so many resources and so much that you can tap into. So that's where I decided to start, just learning, just taking in drips at a time.
Right. So you're studying yourself, like you said, online and so on. I love that you said you met Ayurveda. That's a beautiful way of putting it. I've never heard anyone say that before. I love it.
I think it comes to you when you're ready, and it meets you where you are.
Yeah. And sometimes, I know my own experience, I've talked to a lot of people that you'll hear about it, but it doesn't quite click. And then you'll meet it, as you said, years later when you need it. Like, I heard about it in my yoga training back in early 2000s. And it didn't click with me then. And it was only then when I needed the Panchakarma in 2014 that I was like, okay, I remember I heard about this before. And then I dove in deep. But yeah, absolutely. It really comes to you when you need it. And so we connected in January 2023. And when I was looking back through your notes, I was like, no, we've known each other longer than that.
It feels like so much longer.
Right?
Like, yeah, reflecting on my journey, just even the past year, it just feels like so much has happened in terms of Ayurveda at that time. In terms of my life journey as well, I was like the first couple of years was just dipping in and out, and then I decided at the beginning of last year, okay, right, this is the time to commit to Ayurveda. You're really going to immerse yourself in it now, and in terms of the lifestyle and the practices and the studying and the cleansing, I really decided to commit to it at the beginning of last year. And yeah, it just feels like so much has happened in that time. And from then, especially in the last year, just since I decided to really commit to it, it really feels like things have started to line and click and take momentum. It feels like momentum starting and things are taking off. And yeah,
fantastic.
It just feels like I'm really following the Dharma, and
lovely.
Yeah,
love that. Yeah, when you feel like you're in the flow and following your Dharma, it's amazing. So let's dig into that journey. So we first connected in January last year. So it's your year anniversary, our year anniversary, and that's when you decided to do the January group cleanse, right?
Yeah. So I decided to do the cleanse initially because that was when I decided to fully commit to Ayurveda and immerse myself in it. And I knew, up until that point, I'd only been learning online, connecting with Ayurvedic people, but you just don't fully immerse yourself in it unless you start to practice it in real life. So yeah, I decided to sign up for the cleanse and just throw myself into it. And that just really, doing the cleanses and practicing it and in real life, kind of bringing Ayurveda into real life, it has really like propelled the journey, and things have just took off from there. Even though I'd been learning, Ayurveda for a couple of years, putting it into practice is different, like I said. But forming the new habits and routine, although the cleanse itself is amazing, it's really well structured. It's easy to follow. You've got loads of guides. You give us cleansers the online platform. We can connect. We've got you as support. So the cleanse itself is great. It's really well structured, but putting that in practice, forming new habits and routines, that it sometimes feels clunky, especially in the first. For me personally, anyway, especially in the first cleanse, and I was finding that I had to think a lot, and I was having to plan a lot, and really, it was not taking headspace, but just think about what I was doing at every step of the way. Whereas as I went through the year into my other cleanses, it started to flow more naturally, and I wasn't having to do that thinking. It was just becoming much more automatic. The food, the dinacharya, the practices, my spiritual practices. Each time I was able to go deeper and deeper into the cleanse and into the experience, and each cleanse that you go into, it's just so different, because it's a different time, it's a different season, and you're a different person. Really beautiful to experience that, the different experiences each time.
That's right. And you have gone through each of the seasonal cleanses. You cleansed in January, April, and then October, and now you're coming into this one again. Yeah. And as you said, your imbalances were different in every season. And I know, going back to when the first cleanse, I know that when we first met, you had a lot going on with university, right? It was hectic. You had a hectic schedule of classes, didn't you?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember my first consultation with you, my Vata was crazy. It was completely, my central nervous system was shot. I was living life at a million miles an hour. I was spinning so many plates. Even looking back, my year traveling, I was just constantly flying all the time. And even prior to that, when I was, during my HR career, I was traveling. I traveled quite a distance to work every day and back, and I was just, working crazy hours, and it was a stressful job. So I think, reflecting back, I just feel like I've lived most of my adult life on autopilot, and just so busy all the time. So in that first consultation, I didn't realise it. I can look back now and see it, but it was just, my Vata was really off the scale, and my central nervous system was just shot. So I think there was a lot of work to do to bring that back into balance, and I still have to work on the Vata, but I've got so much more awareness now, and that's what's important. It's just having that awareness so that you can fix these imbalances.
Voila. Yeah. The awareness is key. And I remember we focused, like you said, the cleanse was structured to you, and you like cooking. So that was great. But a big thing was the evening routine, because you were working late into the evening, and we had to really work on shifting around, first of all, work in alignment with what you had to do for uni, that you had to do your work and study, right? We couldn't change that, but then bring in some simple practices to calm the nervous system in the evening so you could sleep better, and then fit some dinacharya in between your university time and study time. I remember, that was a big area of focus in the first cleanse.
Yeah, I had to work on that a lot, actually. The cleanse, for me, the biggest area I had to focus on was just learning to slow down and simplify life, and just allowing myself to be. And I found that a big challenge, because I'd been living my life for so long on autopilot, and I think in the West as well, our culture is just such a vatagenic environment. It fosters vata imbalance so easily. We've just programmed to want to be busy all the time. Whether it's uni, whether it's work, whether it's even hobbies and activities. We just want to be busy and doing stuff all the time, and it's just it's not a good culture for fostering simplicity and balance. So when you're kind of forced to do that, it's a big adjustment, but it allows you to do that. And what came with that, and through the reflections and the journaling and the spiritual practices as well, is just really allowing myself to be, and allowing myself to slow down, giving myself permission to slow down, and being more compassionate with myself, and just, forgiving myself in a lot of ways for basically what I put my body through. There's a lot of kind of reflection and questions as to why you're able to reflect and question why your body is so imbalanced. And I think with that, it allows you to forgive yourself and just be a lot more compassionate with yourself.
And giving you space, like you said, and time to slow down during the cleanse. Like you're almost forced to slow down, and allowing yourself to slow down then brings awareness to what you were doing previously. Because there's very few opportunities in our life when we really get to slow down. I totally agree with you. Our life today is full on. And I think we almost feel this pressure because of social media, because of everyone posting their best lives on social media, that we feel like there's some competition going on, that we need to be out there and doing fun things too. So taking the time to just be bored and to slow down is so important, because that's when our creativity enters. That's when we get those inspiring thoughts, listen and hear our intuition. If you are listening to Clare's story here and you would like to go on your own Ayurvedic cleansing journey, then let me tell you about my upcoming group discounted Digestive Reset Cleanse starting February 2nd, 2024. This is a group cleanse. However, it comes with a 90-minute online consultation with me so that I can check in on your current health status and tailor the cleanse to you. This holistic cleanse includes recipes and yoga and pranayama and mindfulness and self-care practices. And all these will be tailored to you and your lifestyle. And as I said, it's a group cleanse. So we have a private community where we hold each other accountable and support each other. If you're interested, check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, Elements Healing and Wellbeing. And for the group cleanse, go to the events page. And if that date of February 2nd doesn't work for your schedule, you can do a private cleanse. Check out the programs page for those details. Okay, let's get back to my conversation with Clare. And we talked about that as well in the cleanse, your creativity. And I'm a big proponent of people connecting, especially those with a high Vata constitution, connecting with their creativity, because this is a meditation practice in itself, very calming for the nervous system. And I think it's really important for people with a high Vata constitution to allow that creative energy to flow, as important as the food and the exercise. So do you remember having that discussion about creativity?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was something that I just never allowed myself to do before, because I always thought that I had to be doing something productive all the time, and if I wasn't doing something productive and juggling all these different balls and spinning all these plates, then I would beat myself up for it. It was like a form of self-sabotage. But when you really slow down and simplify things, like the clarity that you feel after the cleanse, it starts to happen during, but after the cleanse, I specifically remember feeling so light and having such mental clarity. I felt light physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I think when you've allowed your body, you've eliminated a lot of toxins mentally, physically, and emotionally, it gives you that clarity, and it allows that prana life force to really flow through your body. And this is where the creativity comes from, and you allow yourself to follow what you're pulled to in terms of your creative drive. Like for me, it was really getting deeply back into nature and connecting with nature again. I was able to do that on an even more deeper level. I was able to fall in love with cooking again, whereas before I did enjoy it, but it was almost like this is task orientated. Where now I'm so connected to the food that I'm cooking. I'll channel pranic energy through my food, and I'll really be grateful. I'll really be connected to it in terms of where this food has came from, how I'm cooking it, and what it's going to do. What it's going to do to my body. I think as well, when you've got that path of clarity, or when you've got that clarity for your body after the cleanse, it really catapults you into your path of service. And I think everyone has a purpose to serve in some way, but I think having that clarity and allowing that prana to flow, it really catapults you in the right direction in terms of that. So I think the cleanse allows you to assess that and really kind of move you towards where you are supposed to be of service, and what your purpose is in the world, but also along with that, I think it allows you to assess what is and what isn't serving you. Like I remember assessing what is and what isn't assessing me in terms of food, in terms of behaviours, in terms of routines, even like environmental things that were and weren't serving me. So I think just you shift from that autopilot state into that state of blockage. When you're in that autopilot state, you're blocking so much, you know. So it allows you to kind of you go through that shift from autopilot and blockage to, you know, flowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And this is the overarching journey of Ayurveda, is a journey of self-realization. So, you know, like with the cleansing, the purpose is to bring you into alignment so that the energy, the prana, as you said, is flowing through. You're connecting with your body, have more awareness, and that intuition or that guidance is allowed to flow through. So you're less drained by imbalances, be it constipation, heartburn, lethargy, whatever it is. You're not wasting energy on that. And now all your vitality can go into thriving and being aware of what your skill set is, what your passion is, and driving forward into that journey of self-realization or self-discovery, which is where we want people to be. Because if everybody in the world is in that mode and is feeling great clarity and feeling vital and bringing their skill set or their unique talent into the world, that's where we want to be. That's the ultimate goal, right? Is that everyone is thriving and that there's no hierarchy in the world, that we're all just contributing to the greater oneness. That is the ultimate goal.
It's beautiful.
It is.
And it's not, I think as well, it's not, it might sound like I just do this like really naturally every day and it's coming really easily. It's not. I still really need to work at my practices every day. And, you know, I still default back into old habits, like old habits that I had. It's so true. Yeah. But, you know, now when I do, I say to myself, you know, well, they don't make you feel good, because you're much more aware and connected. So, you know, you eat these foods, or you do something routine wise, or you get out of your kind of daily practice, and it starts to really not make you feel good. And you know, I say to myself, you know, no, you're not honouring. You know, I'm not honouring my body and my mind when I do that. And you know, I would never do that before. I would just continue on autopilot, and it just, you know, having the experience of the cleanse really allows you to assess when you're honouring, when you're honouring yourself almost.
Yes, it is very true. And oftentimes that happens, Claire. In my experience, taking people through cleanses, the first cleanse can be a little challenging because you don't know what to expect. And for some people, there might be a lot of changes in the way they're eating or living and so on. And then when you repeat the cleanse, you're like, okay, I got this. I now have picked up several good practices for my first cleanse. And maybe this often happens, resort back to some poor practices after the first cleanse. And then now there's even more awareness going into it, the second cleanse, and going, okay, I know what to expect in sense of the structure and the routines. And now I just need to have more awareness and be, you know, even more committed. So I do feel that repeating the cleanse helps to pull back more layers of the physical and emotional toxins, but also gets you into, you know, this is where I want to be, because it's natural. To resort back to old habits.
Yeah. And I think when you go back, which everyone's human would do, but revert back to these old habits, But when you go back, you have that awareness, and you're aware of how it makes you feel, like not good, disconnected, really blocked up. And you know, when you go back to your good healthy practices, it's like you become less resilient to how you used to operate.
I know, right?
You're impacted by it so much more, and you
so
think,
much more.
oh my God, how could I have operated like that automatically for so long? And it almost gives you the motivation to stay on your path.
Yeah, I feel like the body's like, oh no, we're not doing that again. So I'm going to make the aggravation doubly worse. So you're going to feel it. But, that's a good point to make, Clare, is like taking time to reflect and looking back now on your journey. And I think it is important to look back on it with self-compassion, right? There's like 2 steps forwards, 1 step back a lot of the time, but you're still making progress. And so as you reflect back, talk a little bit more on that.
Yeah, when I was reflecting just over the past year, you don't often do that. And I think you just don't often allow yourself to give yourself credit. But I think when you're going through the journey at the time, you can't realise it. So it does take, and that's why it is important to take time to reflect sometimes. But yeah, I couldn't really, and I still probably can't really believe like my journey and the progress that I've made in the past year, which it makes it exciting for my journey going forward. But yeah, just in the space of a year, I feel, for me, it was just, I'm going into a cleanse and I'm immersing myself in Ayurveda, but just in the space of a year, I feel completely transformed, like physically, mentally and emotionally. And I think for me, it's more significant. To others, it might be more subtle. But I think also in the beginning, my Ayurveda journey was kind of more self-focused, not in a selfish way, but I did have the intention of taking it out to show others and help others, but it was more self. It's about improving my health, improving my health and well-being, physically, emotionally, and mentally, and then I can take it out and show others what I've learned and help them do the same. But in the Ayurveda journey, I've learned to be really conscious and live a conscious, connected way of life, and in doing that, I honestly feel like I've found my true purpose, and that is to completely and fully be of service, to other people, to nature, to the universe. And now it's become less self-focused. Like, yeah, I'm always working on myself, but it's not for me. It's like everything I'm doing is aligned with my purpose, and that is to be of service. And when that shift happened, everything started to align, everything started to flow, and it's just allowed me to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm really, truly feeling like I'm following my path, and I'm following the Dharma. Yeah, that's
music to my ears. Music to my ears. That's the journey I went on, and that's what I want everyone to experience. And like you said, it's not selfish to heal yourself first. It has to start with you. And that's where the self-study and the self-healing is where the huge education comes. As you said at the start of this episode, yes, you can read about it, you can learn about it, but when you integrate the practices and feel the shifts in your own body and mind, that's when you're really learning Ayurveda.
Yeah.
And
that's when the magic starts.
100%, right? And you're like, wow, I want to share this with others. And then you bringing, you're healed and thriving. And now you're bringing that high vibration into the world and being of service with others. And tell us a little bit about now you're studying Ayurveda. You're saying that there is a big opening for Ayurveda in Dundee. So what are your thoughts? You're still studying, obviously, in uni as well. So what's the future hold?
Oh yeah, sorry. I've got so many ideas to like combine my nutrition degree with my Ayurveda diploma studies. I've got loads of ideas. I've got lots of business plans, and my mentor who I study with, he is really big on combining East and West.
Yes.
Yeah, the practices of the East and the West. And I think in Western culture, maybe not so much in America, because Ayurveda and holistic medicine is really, it's accepted much more on an integrated way. But I feel anyway, in the UK, people still want that Western qualification. They still want to, that almost brings like the comfort and the insurance. I don't think the holistic practices, even though it is starting to pick up momentum, I don't think they're fully accepted on a wider scale here. So my idea is to kind of combine and dovetail those,
Love it.
Both those things. Yes, it's really exciting. And I think just studying and really learning the Ayurvedic way now, it's just, I feel like I look at everything in terms of like doshas and gunas, whether that's people, food, nature, animals, like my dog. He is kapha through and through. He's big, he's slow, he will plonk his arse down at any opportunity, but he's got such a loving, kind heart. It's so funny the way you start to look at things.
No, it's true. I totally navigate the world with Ayurveda, and now all my friends are used to me dropping some Ayurveda into our conversations. They're very used to that now. But it's a great way to navigate the world, because it brings a lot of awareness and compassion and insight. So it's wonderful.
I think you just feel so connected with self. Practicing Ayurveda, it's really allowed me to connect with myself so deeply, connect with my friends and family more. Like, my relationships are so much better.
Right.
Just connect at all levels, nature, self, other people, and the wider kind of cosmos and universe. It's really beautiful when you start to feel that happening. And also when you're able to start helping, with the knowledge that you're equipped with the wisdom, when you're able to start helping your friends and family, in a holistic way, in a health way, that's the best gift that you can give them. I've been able to do that, and it just feels so beautiful. It's not just advice; they go away and practice, and they come back and say, "My God, these things are actually working." Like that's just the best feeling.
It is, right? I think that's what really brings us happiness, when we're of service to others. That's where that true happiness and feeling a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging lives. And that's the goal, is that we're all bringing our gifts into the world and being of service.
Like, in the space of a year, I just can't imagine my life without Ayurveda now. I can't imagine my life without cleansing either. It's just what I do now. Like, I can't imagine my life without cleansing. I still use the cleanse recipes as my core recipes. When I'm not cleansing, I use them as a core base.
That's great.
So I just continue the practices all the time. We're practicing every day. I'm not perfect to still revert to old habits, but it's just the drip effect.
100%. Yeah, that drip effect works overtime, day in, day out. And then you're going to do now the cleanse on February 2nd with the rest of the group. And each time it goes a little deeper. Do you find that you're pulling back a little more of a layer, not only physically, but emotionally as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, peeling back the layers of an onion. I feel like now, so my first or my second cleanse, I was thinking about what foods to buy, the recipes, the structure, what practices I was doing when, my routine. But I almost feel like I can go into this cleanse now and not even have to think about that. It'll just come naturally and flow. So in doing that'll allow me to go really much deeper into my spiritual practice and, my meditations and my pranayamas, doing yoga. And before starting the cleanses with you, I never done yoga. I'm really big on CrossFit, and I remember
that's right.
I remember in my first cleanse, you were like, right, and so don't want you to do CrossFit for that week of the deep cleanse, the week in between, the second week, and I was kind of like, okay, maybe I can just do 1 or 2 sessions.
That's right.
So I didn't see the purpose or the value of not doing it, but now that I've been through a few cleanses and I've allowed myself, I can almost see that I had an unhealthy attachment to it. Yeah. Like I still do CrossFit and I still love it, but it's in a much more healthy way now.
Great.
And I allow myself to rest when my body needs it, and I could see the value of not doing heavy exercise or kind of any exercise, well, walking and whatnot, but any strenuous exercise during that week, because that if your energy is being taken up by your body recovering,
Mm-hmm.
that's blocking. It's almost like blocking the elimination stage, and it's blocking prana.
Yeah.
Prana.
Yeah,
So
it's blocking that.
just
You don't have any energy to pull out those toxins. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, it's like I said, journey of awareness. Well, before we finish up, Claire, is there any Ayurvedic advice or tip that you would give the listener that you've learned on your journey?
Yeah, I think just, start small, really small changes, because it's easy, and especially probably if you're Pitta, to really, give yourself time and what to do everything to perfection. But it's just about trial and error, and it is easy to get overwhelmed because there is so much to learn. But Ayurveda is a timeless wisdom. It'll always be there. So it just takes time to adjust and carve these new behaviours and habits almost. So yeah, just the drip effect.
Yes.
And I really believe that just live with the right intention. If you live with the right intention, the universe will take care of the rest.
That's beautiful.
The universe will do the rest. I think, and finally, just connect, whether it's physically, if there's a community locally, or connect online. There's so many resources out there, and there's so many good people to learn from. So learning from others and just connecting, getting that support. Because, for myself, like I said, there's not much going on at all in Scotland, but I'm now connected to all the students that I study with on the Ayurveda diploma, and connected to, groups online and social media, and that there's really great kind of connection and resources out there. So use that, because that's really kind of propelled and helped me in my journey as well. Yeah.
Great advice there, Claire. And thank you so much for coming on today and chatting with me. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to support you this last year, and to support you now in your next cleanse coming up in February.
Just to say thank you so much for inviting me to share and just give me this platform, Colette. It's just, your podcast has been a really big part of my Ayurveda journey, and from the beginning. So I just feel really grateful that you've asked me on, and that you've asked me to share. And I shared your podcast as well, actually, with the students that I study the Ayurveda diploma with, and they all find it a really useful resource. They love it as well, so it's been great.
Well, thank you so much. Like I said, you've been very committed, and you've been really focused on your journey, and it's all paying off. And I look forward to see where you go. And you're definitely doing great things in the world, and appreciate you sharing all this information today. Thank you, Claire. And we'll be in touch soon. Cleanse.
I'm honestly really looking forward to the cleanse now in February.
Wonderful. Okay, Claire. So I'll talk to you soon. But thanks again for taking the time today. All the best.
Thanks so much, Colette. Cheers.
Bye for now. Ciao.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that chat with Claire. And as I said, I have the upcoming group cleanse starting February 2nd. If you're interested in going on your own Ayurvedic cleansing experience, check out the details in the show notes, or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so. And the new episodes will automatically download for you every week. And if you would like to rate and review the podcast, please do so wherever you listen to your podcast. That would really help in sharing this great Ayurvedic wisdom. You can find me on social media, on Facebook under Elements Healing and Wellbeing, and my new Instagram page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.